One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, 1975. It was such a huge hit that it won the 5 major categories at the Academy Awards, and that includes, of course, Best Picture, Best Actor, Actress, Director, and Screenplay. And Jack Nicholson gives one hell of a performance. And don't you forget about Nurse Ratched, played by Louise Fletcher. Wonderful. We're going to talk about Cuckoo's Nest. So sit back, relax, grab that beverage of choice, sip it, chug it, whatever you got to do. I hope you enjoyed this show. Here we go. There was one actor long ago that had a vision about this novel becoming a play and a film. And that man, that actor, was Kirk Douglas. Kirk read the novel by Ken Kesey called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, a very popular novel back in 1962. But he wasn't the only one. Wouldn't you know it? Jack Nicholson also wanted a piece of the action. So intrigued by this novel, Jack himself wanted to make it into a play and buy the rights. So lo and behold, there was a bidding war, and Douglas came out on top. So Kirk went to work right away. He wanted to play McMurphy. At first, he wanted to do a Broadway play. And they did. Guess who was also in this production of the Broadway play in 1963? Gene Wilder. I didn't know that until I did the research on this for the past couple of months. And Gene Wilder played the Billy character. The Broadway play lasted for about a year, and Kurt was now ready to take this Broadway play and turn it into a film. Douglas had a director in mind right off the bat, and that was Milos Forman. But there was a problem. Forman, who lived in Eastern Europe, was prevented from directing because of the Warsaw Pact invasion of Czechoslovakia and the beginning of the normalization period in which the Soviet Union forced Czechoslovakia to reverse most of its Prague Spring liberation reforms. And wow, that sounds complicated. Plus, Douglas was having a hard time finding any studio willing to put up money for the film. And it seems interesting to me, breaking this down, that it didn't seem difficult for Douglas to put it on stage. But for some reason, no studio wanted to touch this subject about a nut house. This is a very difficult situation, getting this novel/Broadway play put into a film. It just seemed like roadblocks everywhere because the writer of the play version, his name was Dale Wasserman, was fighting with Douglas about the script that was going to turn into a film. Eventually, Wasserman will sell his rights to Douglas, but it all tied up in courts for several years. A battling money situation here between Douglas and Wasserman. So it took years for this to even be considered. And at one point, Kurt has got to be so frustrated that he nearly gives up. But guess who didn't give up, folks? His son. That's right, Mr. Michael Douglas. Where did he come from? He just came out of the blue. He came out of the room, the next room, the family room, and said, "Dad, I really like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Would you let me take the reins? Give me a chance. I think I could make it happen. Let me produce this film. Can I, Dad? And Kurt said, go for it, son. Good luck. But keep this in mind, son. If, and I mean if, you ever get this movie done, you have to promise me something. What's that, Dad? I'm gonna play McMurphy. Sure, Dad. Uh-oh. Michael Douglas optioned the film to director Richard Rush, but Rush was unable to secure financing from major studios. Oh, another roadblock. But in March of 1973, Michael Douglas announced a new deal. He would co-produce with a man named Saul Zaentz. Zaentz was a big fan of the author of the novel, Ken Kesey. And let's get into that guy. Oh boy. Those who don't know about Ken Kesey, a brilliant writer, no doubt about it. I read Cuckoo's Nest. Well done. Of course, it's nothing like, well, I don't want to say it's nothing like the film, but definitely different. And this new co-producer with Douglas wanted to have Ken Kesey along for the ride. He wanted Kesey to write the script for the film. So let's go ahead and talk about Ken. Ken went to Stanford University where he studied creative writing, met some great people there, thought maybe I can write. He wrote Cuckoo's Nest within a few years. And also, during this time, he was, let's just say, used by the CIA, without his knowledge, he says, being a guinea pig for MK Ultra projects, which means he was given hallucinogenic drugs, including LSD, which was done to try to make people insane in order to put them under the control of interrogators. Can you believe this? And I've heard of this. That these top-notch universities would do experiments on their students. Now, mind you, they did this willingly, the students. They weren't dragged into a room and chained up and thrown acid in their tongues. They were actually volunteers for these projects. But sometimes these students really didn't know what they were going to do to them. It was a class, so to speak, and they participated in it to learn something, to do something for the college. MK Ultra, though. Ken Kesey, at a very young age, was being fed LSD by the government. Anyways, the inspiration to write One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest stemmed from when Kesey worked a night shift at a veterans hospital. Kesey was so interested in the patients, crazy or not. He talked to them all. And there were times where he would actually talk to these patients while under hallucinogenic drugs, including LSD. He was tripping while he talked to the patients and saw them in all sorts of light, feeling they were just shunned from society because they were quote unquote different, not like everybody else, not fitting in, and felt that it was the man that was pushing all of these little people down. And that's what One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is all about for Ken Kesey, the little man fighting the big man, and how the little man can find a way to defeat the big man, whether it's the company, just the world, society. So when Ken was asked to write the screenplay for the film, he said sure. But he ran into problems with the casting. He felt that there were other actors he preferred instead of Jack Nicholson, Burt Reynolds, Well, Burt Reynolds was up for the part. Marlon Brando was also up for the part. Ken had different ideas. But that wasn't what pissed him off. The main thing that they wanted to change about his novel, turning it into a film, was that they wanted it portrayed in a third-person perspective. The novel concentrates on the chief and the way he sees what's going on. That's the way Ken wrote it. That's the way Ken wanted to write the screenplay. It makes sense. The studios didn't want that. Plus, they also didn't want to have the big man against the little man. They wanted to make Nurse Ratched the bad person. And Ken was definitely very, very against that. It's the system. It's the machine we're fighting. Not Nurse Ratched, just one person. And that made him leave the project. And Ken will say later on, he never, ever watched the film. He was so turned off about what they did to his novel, turning it into a film. And I say, Ken, I get it. Believe me, I get it. I've written to, and I'd be super fucking pissed if I was working on a project and they were ripping my novel or my screenplay apart, trying to do it their way. But watch the movie, Ken. It's good. I mean, the way I see it, once you turn it over to the studio, it becomes theirs. They could do whatever they want. You know why? They have the money. Ken, if you wanted to do it on your own, put up the money. If you're not going to put up the money, there's not much you can say. You can give advice. You can write the screenplay to the greatest of your knowledge in reference to this, what the producers want, what Michael Douglas wants, the other producer, the director, Milos Forman will eventually direct this. And I'm just fascinated by the whole process of filmmaking. It sounds like it's a pain in the ass. And the last show I did, John Malkovich, he said that. As much as he loved producing, he said it was a major pain in the fucking ass. It's poop all the time. As soon as you wake up, you're drinking poop and eating poop. And then you lay down at night on a bed of poop. So Michael Douglas had to deal with all this cuckoo poop. And I'm sure it wasn't easy. Those of you out there who listen to my show know I have high respect for Michael Douglas. The guy just knows film. He knows projects. He's driven. I like that. The guy gets things done, and he does great work. And I find it intriguing and fascinating and cool that Michael Douglas was the driving force behind this project. One of the greatest movies ever made. And I want to note this because I love Back to the Future. And it's because of Michael Douglas, I think, Back to the Future was made. And I'll tell you why. Michael Douglas was a fan of Robert Zemeckis. And Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, the other writer, Back to the Future, had a hard time selling that script. Well, Michael Douglas had a project called Romancing the Stone on the back burner and said, Mr. Zemeckis, I love your work. Direct that. And if you do a good job, maybe we can make Back to the Future. It might be possible. There are many great things about Michael Douglas. Not just Back to the Future, but One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And he ran into a big problem trying to get this done. The casting process. The studio, they said, Mike, I know you want your dad to be the main character, McMurphy. And Mike said, of course. The studio said, Mike, you know your dad is a bit too old to play McMurphy. Michael Douglas said, we'll make it work. You have to understand something. My father, he wants to play this role really bad. He was the one in the very beginning that outbid everybody to get this script done. He did the Broadway play. This is his baby. He tried for years to get this done. I picked it up, and it would crush him if he wasn't McMurphy. The studios, they held firm. We're not going to use Kurt. Sorry. Ooh. Can you imagine how Michael had to go up to his dad, Kurt Russell? That must have been fucking hard. And from what I heard, there was a lot of tension between Michael and Kurt after that. And I think they didn't talk much for years because of a fucking role. Can you... And I'm trying to wrap my head around this. But Kirk Douglas being the way he was. Heard stories about Kirk. Not the nicest guy. But an artist, an actor, and someone who knew what he wanted. And even if it was his own son, not getting him what he wanted, maybe that pissed him off even more. Knowing that maybe Michael didn't push hard enough to have his dad in it. And maybe Michael deep down knew that Kurt, his father, was just too old to play McMurphy. And maybe, just maybe, Michael knew Jack Nicholson would have done a better job. But like I said, there were other actors considered for the main character. Among them, Gene Hackman, James Caan, Marlon Brando, and Burt Reynolds. And I find it interesting that all of those actors, excluding Burt Reynolds, I've done on my podcast. Did Gene Hackman not that long ago, because he just passed. Did James Caan probably in season 2. And of course, I've done Marlon Brando on my podcast about 13 times. And folks, I can do another 13 of Marlon Brando. But Nicholson, he won out. He was involved in another project at the time, so production had to wait on Jack, and they were more than happy to do it. Jack was a hot commodity at the time, and everyone felt it was worth the wait. Jack, take your time. And it gave the production team to sort of take their time in casting everybody else and getting the right setting, the right set for this film. I want to note, and I find this stuff fascinating, things behind the scenes and other interesting tidbits that happened in the past with these actors, producers, directors, and so on. Danny DeVito, first to be cast. And I go, interesting. And I'll tell you why. DeVito and Michael Douglas were roommates back in New York City in the beginning of their careers, when they were nobodies. And I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, studied acting in New York City in 1997. And while I was there, I knew that Kurt Douglas went to the American Academy. Danny DeVito went to the American Academy. So I just assumed, Michael Douglas went to the Academy. I didn't even look it up. I just thought, well, he was roommates with DeVito. His dad went to the Academy. Michael sure went. That's how DeVito and him were roommates. No. What? What? I'm confused. Why didn't Michael Douglas go to the Academy? Well, he didn't go to the Academy. He went to some other school. He studied elsewhere. He was doing plays and whatnot on his own. He happened to meet DeVito at some film festival, totally unrelated to the Academy. The odds of these things, I just don't get it. And I love the story that Danny DeVito tells, how he met Douglas, is completely different. DeVito says they met while they were buying liquor at one time in the middle of the day. And Michael says, no. That's not true. We did not meet buying booze. We met, I think they said, at a film festival. Just happened to meet. Struck up a conversation. They both felt that they were interesting people, and friendship happened. Didn't happen at an acting school. Just happened the way it happens. Just freak luck. They happened to room together at one point, and I'm sure the odds, what are the odds that eventually Danny DeVito will be in an off-Broadway production of Cuckoo's Nest, and then eventually be the first cast in a Michael Douglas production? The odds are immense, but they get smaller when your roommate is Michael Douglas. When you went to the academy with his dad, I don't think it's just luck. I don't think it just happened that way. I think it's because Danny DeVito knew Michael Douglas. That's how he gets in the room, the door of being cast in a film like this. Am I right? Am I wrong? If there's people out there going, Jeff, you're absolutely wrong. It was just a coincidence they roomed together. It was just a coincidence that he happened to be the first cast in this film. I say fuck that. The odds are astronomical. He got it because he knew Michael. Am I right? I'm right. I gotta be right. You know why? Because if I'm not right, I'm gonna go completely insane. Because things right now for me don't make sense. They just don't. With the world, I try to make sense of the world. Good luck. I try to make sense of the entertainment business. And I'm doing projects like this, getting things together to do this show, to talk about Cuckoo's Nest, and how fascinating it is, how all these things had to come together. And when they do, I see Danny DeVito, first cast, in his relationship with Michael Douglas. And I read that didn't matter. I read that. I said, and my mind just goes, like something breaks and snaps in my head and goes, wait a minute, are you telling me that a former roommate of Michael Douglas didn't get cast? The former roommate of Michael Douglas, right? The reason why he got cast wasn't because they were roommates? See, I couldn't get what I said earlier out because my brain is breaking. Don't do this to me. I'm not a moron. I don't know why, say, Danny DeVito and Michael Douglas want to make me crazy. I know what's going on. Mike, Dan, come on. Don't tell me, Dan, you're so amazing that you didn't need Michael Douglas to get this role. Bullshit. I'm going crazy here. I'm spouting off on my show. You know why? Because I haven't done it in 2 months. Fuck it. It's my show. I'm freaking out on my show, and it's okay. Because it's my show. And I could do whatever the F I want. I could have said fuck. I should have said fuck. And I said fuck right now. It's my fucking show. And I can do whatever I want. And I'm talking about the craziness of Hollywood. It's crazy, but fascinating, isn't it? I love talking about it. And I've rambled on and on about that for too long. I do that almost every time on my show now. There might be another one coming around the corner. I'm going to collect my thoughts, my wits, and my brain tissue. I'm going to sort of tie them together again, get back on track, and continue forward. Get this. Lily Tomlin, that's right. Lily Tomlin was slated and hired to play Nurse Ratched. But Milo's foreman said, I know you hired her, but I'm thinking of another actress, Louise Fletcher. Could we hire her instead? I guess Fletcher had a smaller, minor role in the film and was now being promoted to Nurse Ratched. Sorry, Lily. Lily didn't get a part at all. But think about that. Lily Tomlin as Nurse Ratched? I don't see it. Do you see it? Maybe in some weird faraway land. Okay? Some other parallel universe. Lily Tomlin played Nurse Ratched. I want to see that film. I want to see that performance because Lily Tomlin's pretty good. But could she pull off Ratched the way Fletcher did? Doubtful. And I'm not saying Tomlin would have been bad. It just would have been different. The producers lucked out in being able to film this movie in the Oregon State Hospital, an actual mental hospital. And I'm amazed that the hospital allowed the film crew and everybody to just come on in, come on into our hospital. No problem. But yeah, sure, bring everybody in. Do the movie here. There was pushback from the patients' families. Why are you doing this? Is this safe? Is it safe for our family members that are in this hospital to have like actors, directors, gaffers just walking around? Is it going to be a problem? And the doctors and the staff assured everyone, all the family members, even the patients, that we're going to do the best we can to make it safe, and we're going to accept them. We're going to make this experience work maybe in our favor. We're all going to get something out of it. They all work together. And I find it great that the patients, the staff, the doctors were just participating in this, seeing it as a good thing, being excited about it, showing the world maybe what it's really like inside a mental institution. And it may not be as bad as you think. It can be interesting. Milos Forman, the director, loved it. Michael Douglas, he said, bring it on. It was now this perfect little project. It all seemed to be coming together. So the cast, the crew, they moved in. They moved into the mental institution. They were there all the time. The cast members were able to observe the patients all the time, really diving deep into their characters. So deep, a lot of the actors were losing their minds. So much so that when Jack Nicholson finally got to the set, got to the hospital, walked in the first day to see what was going on, he was disturbed by what he saw. That all the other actors were mingling with the patients. So much so, he felt it unhealthy and thought, what the fuck is going on? This is too weird. And left. Michael Douglas and the other producers had to bring him back and explain what was really going on. We're really going for it here, Jack. Jack was a little intimidated, but shortly realized that it was all for the good of the picture, and he dove in himself. And before I get into my notes about the film, we're getting there, folks, I want to mention that there's a documentary about the mental hospital, and they really get into what happened during that time period and how the doctors participated in the film. A lot of the doctors you see in that film, if not all of them, were actual doctors at the hospital. And to me, personally, felt that they did a great job acting, especially the main doctor, talking with Jack Nicholson in a couple of scenes, sitting right across from Jack. This doctor sitting right across from Jack Nicholson and doing a very good job. Documentary shows how the hospital, even to this day, were flattered to do this project. They felt good about it. It was a great experience. Okay, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Jeff Torowski's notes. This is when I sit my ass down. I get as comfortable as I can be. Watch the film. I got my notepad. I got my pen. I don't like using pencils anymore. It's strange, I know. Because guess what? You make a mistake, you can erase, whatever. I just don't like writing with pencils. I like the certain pen that I use, and I write it down. And if I have to, oh my God, a freaking spider just went up my leg. Jesus, fuck. I'm like, what the fuck is that? That's the actor's room, folks. Bloopers in the show. Oh my God. It like sped off too. Whoa. Okay. But anyways, I get my notepad, got my pen, my favorite pen. You know when even when the spider's gone, you can still feel it on you. It's warm in the house because it's summertime, so I got my shorts on. So I felt it. Little bastard. Okay, so I sit down. And I try to get as comfortable as I can. I watch the film, I write down notes, anything that grabs me, and I'll stop the film, write things down. Sometimes I don't stop the film. So when I'm doing this, a 2-hour movie, right, it'll take me 3-4 hours to watch it because I stop it and I have things come up, whatever. So I take my time and I'm just going to spout off, mention things in the film that I notice that are important, I felt should be just touched on. So here we go. Cuckoo's Nest, 1975, 1 year before I was born. The Native American theme music, right off the bat, you get the feel of Native American music. And the main focus of the novel is Chief. And he's not the main focus, of course, in the film. McMurphy is. But he's a big character in the film. So Ken Kesey, the novelist, I hope you're flattered to know that they used Native American music. I'm sure he'd be impressed. I put right away, we get Ratchet is cold. She's icy. The way she says good morning, even the way she walks and very, stiff, bossy. And she says good morning in that icy way. It's pill time. And I find this part in the movie interesting because they all line up to take their medicine, their pills, their vitamins, whatever it is that they need. So we get to meet a few of the characters. At first we see Mr. Fredrickson, played by Vince Schiavelli. And if you remember, he was in Ghost and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Next is Seafelt, played by William Duell. He takes the time, this character, to take his pill like Holy Communion. And I just like that. I hope that was the actor's choice. Next is Randall McMurphy. He comes in, he's cuffed, and his reaction. The first time you see McMurphy, Nicholson makes an acting choice. Very interesting one. I like it. He goes over the top, gets nutty. He wants to show everybody around him that he's nuts. And the reason why he does this is because he wants to get out of going to jail. It's either prison or the nut house. So he's sort of faking, in a way, to stay out of prison. And I asked this right off the bat. Is McMurphy crazy? I think he is a bit. Gotta be a little off your nut to do what he's doing, number one. And look at the way Jack takes the character. Is he that good in acting crazy? His little mannerisms, the way he looks up, and the way he purses his mouth certain times, his gazes. Is he that good? I think we may have to take into consideration that McMurphy really is crazy. And Nurse Ratched, further on down the line, will mention that. No, don't pass on our problems like, he's faking it, send him back to prison. There might be something seriously wrong with this guy. We can help him. So, is he faking? Maybe. The next character we meet, very important one, Billy Bibbit, played by Brad Dourif. Creepy dude. Both the character and Brad Dourif. This actor, Brad, has done some great work. Interesting characters. But he's a creepy dude. He plays creepy characters. He's good at it. Bless him. And before I move on, I really want to talk about Brad Dourif's performance as Billy. Do I like it? I think he's the weakest link in the cast. And that's kind of hard to say because he's such a big character in the film. I don't know if I love him. I just like him. He's okay. It's hard to pull off that stutter, I think. It's hard to do. I don't know if I could do it. Never tried it. Does Billy Bibbit get pulled off by Brad Dourif? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being phenomenal, Brando-like. He's at about a 6. 6. You know, Nicholson in this movie, a strong 9. Strong. Louise Fletcher, 9.5. She'll win an Oscar for this. So will Jack. But, you know, she wins an Oscar too. I mean, strong 9s. Brad, 6. Next up, we have Mr. Harding, played by William Redfield, a seasoned acting veteran at the time, and was friends with Brando way back in the day. And a note about Mr. Redfield is he was very sick during the production and actually was diagnosed on set by one of the doctors at the hospital. He was diagnosed with leukemia and will end up passing 18 months after this film premiered. We are also introduced to Cheswick, played by Sidney Lassick, and I think he's wonderful. Wonderful. And irritable. He's wonderful at being irritable in this film. I think he did a phenomenal job. I do. And I think he was really, really into the character from what I heard. So much so, he would get himself worked up just watching other scenes being filmed and would have to leave the set. He was so into everything. I think he spent a little too much time with the patients. I think he got to break away every now and then. Lassick didn't. He really got too far into this shit. But because he got too far, he gave one hell of a performance. Love the character of Cheswick. I think it's one of the best characters. It's one of the hardest characters to play. He loses it at one point. I mean, he, honest to God, loses his shit on set, in the film. You see it. It happens. It happened for him. That's real. He was really going through it. Okay, then you have Martini. It's Danny DeVito. He did a lot of ad-libbing, I noted. Was part of the stage production, I put. Right? I mentioned that earlier. DeVito was in an off-Broadway production of Cuckoo's Nest, and I went on a 5-minute rant on how he got cast because of Michael Douglas. We won't get into that again, because if we get into that again, I'm going to lose my shit. Don't do that to me. Talking to myself. Okay. Also want to note about DeVito's performance in Cuckoo's Nest. I think he was miscast. Here he is, getting cast because he knows Mike, and I think he's miscast. I think there were probably 300 other actors that could have done that role. Am I wrong? Why am I being so hard on Danny? I'm being hard on Dan during this show. I love Danny DeVito. I mean, I love him. I think he is so freaking adorable in every way. In talent, looks, everything. His comedy's great. I think he's wonderful. For some reason, I just don't like him in this movie. Worse than Bibbit. Brad, you're a 6. DeVito, he's on a week 4. I don't know. What do you think about the Martini character? Hard to do? No, not really. I don't think so. Like I said, I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, and there may be people out there going, Jeff, Martini, that was a strong study in characterization. I saw an arc that nobody else could do. Okay. Cute moment is when McMurphy shows his nude playing cards to Martini and to the others as well. Reactions are good. Harding telling Cheswick to, quote unquote, get a hold of himself. The way Cheswick sticks up for Harding, in which McMurphy will call hard on later on, I do like Redfield's performance as Harding. And I like the relationship between Cheswick and Harding. Harding just wants Cheswick to chill out. He's too high-strung. He's like a poodle. And don't stick up for me. I can handle things on my own. You can see the strong sort of veteran status of Redfield in this character. So grounded. So natural. And he understood that character. Want to go ahead and note again that the head doctor was played by Dean Brooks, the real head of that mental hospital. And want to go ahead and rehash that as an acting job. He did a wonderful job sitting across from Jack Nicholson. I guess that's pretty easy to do when you got Jack right across from you. I guess acting's easy at that point. And they always said that in acting school, that you're going to do great things with great people. This just makes sense, but it's true. When you're around marvelous talent, they'll bring out the best in you. Milos Forman, in that scene between the doctor and Jack, gave him free rein, basically. This caught Brooks off guard, the doctor. When you're not trained as an actor, just not an actor, period, and this is your first project as an actor, you're going to be thrown off by things that just don't make sense, like improv. And the doctor was sort of thrown back by Jack's improv skills, just saying things that aren't in the script. Dean probably memorized all his lines, made sure every word was in the back of his mind, where Jack is just off script, throwing things at him. And at one point in the scene, Jack Nicholson bangs on the desk like he's killing a fly. And the doctor said there was no fly in the room. And was sort of, and his reaction in the scene's real. Like, okay, that was weird that you did that. And that's the look you see from the doctor. Like, I'm sure Dean Brooks, the doctor, assumed that part, that little moment, would have been cut from the scene. The director, Milos Forman, would have went, what the hell was that? We're not using that. That's stupid. And that wouldn't be used at all. Lo and behold, it is. And that reaction that you got from the doctor, real. And that's what Milos wanted. And that's what he got. In the next scene, we see the patients doing exercises. I put, that looks ridiculous. And before we move on, exercises. They would make us do exercises before our acting classes in acting school that were absolutely ridiculous as well. And that's what probably made me think of that. We'd be walking around the room of the class, humming, becoming one with the earth, laying on the ground, being closer to the center of the earth. Folks, not kidding. We had to be in tune with our soul. We had to be in tune with our hearts, our psyches, with everyone. You can see how these actors are the way they are, right? They're crazy. They are making us crazy. And I was talking to my buddy the other day about that, and he goes, "Do you remember doing that shit?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "That was so pointless. Think about it." But I brought up to him, I said, well, to some people it's not. They really rely on that whole exercise of becoming one with the earth and becoming one with the scene, encompassing this is all big one organism, and you're a part of it. And we're going to make this work. That's how important this is. I have to be, I got to feel my skin. I have to notice it. Like I'm touching like right now, I'm touching my fingers against, my pointer finger up against my thumb. I'm feeling that. I'm noticing it. Like I'm feeling my skin. That's what they teach you. You got to notice everything, every feeling, every action. They would have us get on the ground. I'm not kidding. We would all 15 of us, morons, on the ground, feeling the ground for bumps and little imperfections in the ground, noticing them. Like, I'm doing this going, what am I doing? Yeah, there are bumps on the floor. Okay, that's just amazing. But it's all for a reason. Noticing everything. When you're acting across from somebody and you're doing a scene, you got to be out of your head. You can't be thinking about the lines or they're going to sound like you're just saying your lines. Like, so why did you go to the store today to buy that plant? Did it go well? How much did it cost? Ha ha ha. It comes off fake because you're thinking about your line. Am I going to forget a word on the script? Oh, shit. Did I say plant? I can't even remember. Shouldn't have to think about that stuff. It should just come out. In the process of just knowing your lines, you're noticing everything that's going on around you. You're noticing if the actor in front of you has a scar on their brow. You notice a fly or a speck of dust above their head. What's going on behind them? There's leaves behind them. There's things going on, truthfully. And you react to them. You're free. And those of you who are Tom Cruise fans, he brought that up recently in an interview I saw. And Tom Cruise really gets into stuff. And he noted that. He does so much research beforehand in a character. So much that when he gets on set, he just lets it go. He everything erases from his mind and he just does it. That's how professional and how into it these actors are. And just wanted to note that. Just because I saw them exercising, I said it looked ridiculous. Oh boy, folks. This show is going off the rails, but it happens on my show. It might be a good thing. There might be people out there listening to this show going, I'm never listening to this again. There might be others going, I learned a little something. Maybe not, but maybe so. So my next note is the meeting. They're bringing up patient issues, and it looks like it's always uncomfortable for the patients talking about their problems, and I'm sure it is. I note, what is Cheswick playing with? They're long, stringy red and yellow things. I don't know what they are. Billy's hair is wild. I like it. McMurphy shuffling his deck of cards, breaking the tension. Choice by Nicholson. It shows dissatisfaction. Ratchet is bothered by it. And that look she gives. Ooh. You notice that Cheswick has a lot of issues. Tabor, played by Christopher Lloyd. Haven't mentioned him yet. We see Tabor. History between Harding and Tabor is obvious. And Harding he tells Harding to get to the point. Sorry. It's been so long since I've done this show. I'm going to mess up sometimes. Sorry. So let's get back to that. The relationship between Tabor, played by Lloyd, and Harding. You see there's something there. and how Tabor is so frustrated with Harding. He never gets to the point. Get to the point. And I find it great that Tabor, his main goal, pretty much, in this film, is getting to Harding. He loves it. He gets off on it. I love how none of the patients wanted to talk about anything in the beginning of the meeting, right? And by the end of the meeting, they're all yelling at each other. Very odd, but poetic. So chaos ensues in the meeting. And because of this, you see a moment between McMurphy and Ratchet. And it's not a good one. You could tell there's going to be problems. And also, Ratchet looks like she actually enjoys the chaos. She enjoys it. She's controlled, right? Or she's controlling the chaos. It's her chaos. In the very next scene, you see McMurphy looking around the courtyard like, is there a way to get the fuck out of here? He tries to teach Chief how to play basketball. And it shows McMurphy connecting with the Chief. Next, they play blackjack, and you see McMurphy being frustrated with Martini, with the cigarettes. Very annoying scene. Love Christopher Lloyd's character, I put. Wide-eyed, attentive, he's involved. And Christopher Lloyd was made to play a role like this. I note that I can see why McMurphy might belong in the ward. He has that crazy look, whether it's faked or not. At times, he seems like one of them. I love how McMurphy questions the pill. What's in the horse pill? And Nurse Ratchet says that if you don't want to take it orally, you could take it another way, or we're administered another way. And the way Harding looks at Nicholson, and Nicholson's like, oh, you'd like that, wouldn't you? And Harding's like, oh, yeah, maybe. And then, of course, they sit down moments later at the table, and Harding says, well, you really told that to her, didn't you? And McMurphy spits the pill into Harding's face. Great moment. Love that scene. I also noticed something fantastic. And one of the things that I'm sure Michael Douglas and the other producers and the director made a choice on was how the actors that are in the ward, the patients, don't appear to have any makeup on in this movie. None. They look. You could tell. You could see every mark, every pimple they've ever had in their life. You could see it, and it makes them look real, sick. Like they're sick on the inside and the outside. They're playing Monopoly, and Tabor again fucks with Harding. He loves it. Just play the game. Just play the game. Great scene. And Christopher Lloyd, who studied under Meisner, sure got a lot of that. The way he repeats himself. Meisner was huge. I'm repeating, going back and forth dialogue, just repeat. So I love the way Christopher Lloyd does that. You have to play the game. Play the game. Well done. This is when McMurphy tries to prove to all the patients that he can lift that big sink. What was that thing? It was huge. Was it a sink? I don't know. But I mean, there was no way in hell he was going to lift that thing. No way. We get a look into the Billy character. Ratchet knows his mom. That's a problem. There's a new vote for the baseball game. McMurphy wants to watch the World Series. And it's explained that there are other people, other patients in the ward that should have a vote, right, to watch the game. And of course, the voting's rigged, and Ratchet knows the game will never be seen because she knows it won't be a majority vote. This pisses off McMurphy, and the next scene is probably one of the best in the film, where Nicholson improvs a baseball game. It's wonderfully done, and I love the way the other actors in the entourage, the way they react to Nicholson. It's very realistic. They look like little kids, right? watching their dad talking about a wonderful story, and they're so intrigued by it. They're really into it. These are patients that probably haven't had fun, like real fun, in a long time. And McMurphy is bringing life into this ward. Ratchet doesn't like that. Okay? McMurphy wants to have fun. Ratchet doesn't want that. So you see this bitterness in Ratchet, and you see this hopefulness in McMurphy, and you know eventually there's going to be a lot of problems. McMurphy meets with the doctors. They have a meeting, and in the meeting, McMurphy calls Ratchet a cunt. Whoa! Can't say that word. They do in this movie. Most of the doctors, after the meeting, get together, talk about McMurphy. Is he faking? They think, yes, send him back to prison. Ratchet says, let's not push him off. Maybe we can help him. So, this is fascinating to me because in the script and in the novel, Ratchet could be rid of McMurphy, this rival, okay? And she doesn't. She doesn't get rid of him. She keeps him. Why? Is it the thrill? Is she so bored, right, that she's accepting this challenge? I'll take this guy on, she thinks, right? Why else would she do it? She could have very easily agreed with the doctors. Yes, you're right. He's faking. He's a piece of shit. I want him out of this ward. He's disrupting everybody. Bye. But she doesn't. She wants him to stay, which means she must be the most narcissistic person ever, thinking she could cure this guy, but she doesn't want to do that. It's just a challenge for her. A rival. I'm going to beat this guy in the end. Okay, next up, the scene where McMurphy jumps the fence to steal the bus for the field trip. He gets them all on there, on the bus, and McMurphy takes them to the sea. And on their way to the boat, they pass a TV set in a store. And on the TV set is Audrey Launders. And I always felt she was very beautiful. Audrey Launders. And she's on a show that she did years before that, and they show her on the screen, this little TV, as a bus goes by. And I remember one of the first times I watched this movie, I noticed her. I'm like, that is Landers. I know it. Because I had a crush on her. I always thought she was so beautiful. So on their way to the sea, to the boat, they pick up Candy. The prostitute? I don't know. Is she a prostitute? Is she just a friend of McMurphy? I think she's a prostitute. So anyways, they pick up Candy. She gets on the bus and she asks them, are you crazy? And Cheswick nods. She's like, are you crazy? And Cheswick's like, he nods and he's got this shit grin on his face like, we're nutbags. So McMurphy charters the boat. And I guess Nicholson got the guy that was in charge of the boats, the actor, all riled up off camera before the scene. And you could tell how agitated the actor is because Jack worked him up. I like that stuff. And for some reason, one of my favorite parts in the film is when McMurphy is introducing his fellow patients as doctors. You know, he's like, this is Dr. Cheswick, this is Dr. Fredrickson, famous Dr. Fredrickson or something like that. And then he gets to Harding, he goes, and this is Mr. Harding. And it's the look on Redfield's face. Priceless. I guess everyone on board for the 3-day shoot of the boat scene were seasick, except for Nicholson. Nicholson was okay. He was the only one. DeVito says it was horrible. And even if when he thinks about it today, he gets queasy. Okay, before we go any further, we have to talk about Louise Fletcher. Her performance in this film is outstanding. She's rigid. She's icy. She's strange. Tough exterior, soft interior, creepy. She pulls it off. And she stayed in character for most of the shoot. She says the others, the guys, all joking around, being nutty, doing their thing, doing it right. And I'm not. I have to be cold. I have to be rigid. I have to be unhappy, having no fun. And how jealous she was of everyone else on set because she couldn't be in that place. She had to stay in this unhappy place. But Louise, you were so good as Nurse Ratched. It really does go down in film acting history. There's no doubt about it, not to me anyway, that what she did with Ratched, it's historical. And in my opinion, one of the greatest acting performances of all time. Okay, other notes. McMurphy discovers most patients are voluntary. This floors him. He has a moment with Cheswick. He's like, Cheswick, you're voluntary? And Cheswick nods. McMurphy shows his hand here. He's shocked. And for some reason, he just can't process this information. And of course, he asked them, what are you, crazy or something? McMurphy? Yeah, they are. And you can see the happiness on Ratched's face and how satisfied she is with McMurphy's frustration on this information. She revels in it. In the way Ratched treats Cheswick like a child, like a mother talking to an infant. Cheswick loses it in this scene. I referenced this in the beginning of the episode. This is the scene. He completely loses his mind. He wants his cigarettes. And Nicholson's character, McMurphy, breaks the window of the nurse's office or the station to get the cigarettes. And there's chaos now. Just give him fucking cigarettes. And because McMurphy has blood on his hands and has broken the window, he's contained, restrained. And you see the chief come to his rescue. The chief is coming alive, and you can see the relationship between the chief and McMurphy here. He cares deeply for McMurphy. So in the next scene, McMurphy and the chief are sitting down on the bench outside the office, and they have a moment. McMurphy gives him gum. The chief says thank you, and whoa! McMurphy realizes the chief has been faking all along. Or has he? Electroshock therapy. Quote, a dab'll do ya. And a quote, a dab'll do ya. I have that quip in my head sometimes. A dab'll do ya. The way he delivers that line, Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson. That's all I gotta say. What is it about that actor? He's so different. Nobody is like Jack. Nobody. That voice, that look, his look, unmatched. He's a titan. He's a man among boys. When it comes to acting prowess, just the confidence that he has, it's outstanding. And his characters, very much him, of course, because he brings all of himself into his characters. You have to. It's him we like. Right? That's Jack. And I like how in the next scene, McMurphy walks into the hospital after the therapy session with the electroshock therapy, walking in like a zombie, past all the other guys, and they're watching him going, by God, they fried his brain. But they didn't. And he breaks out of his little trance and jokes around with the guys. And he goes, it's good to see all of you. And And what does he say? Something about their information. Oh, he goes, he says, the Mental Defective League information. And I like how he joins the group. He gets a chair, tells Ratchet that he's happy to be back. He calls her Mildred. That threw off Fletcher, the actress, because her name, Mildred, is mentioned just once, and it's said by another doctor. And McMurphy found out that her name is Mildred. And Nicholson found that out, of course, and used it in the scene. Completely off script. Nicholson throws in Mildred, and he throws off Fletcher. Watch her reaction to that. That's real too. I love those little tidbits. That's how good Nicholson is, folks. All those other things plus that. All right, then we're wrapping this up soon, folks. My voice, I'm surprised I haven't gone silent. The party at the Looney Bin. I note McMurphy and Billy's relationship. It could have been stronger, I felt. There needed to be more there to have that bond between the two of them. I mean, it was okay. I just felt it could have been stronger. The Candy and Billy thing. The hookup is kind of gross. Be honest with you, I get it. I think she's a prostitute. They're pimping her out. She's a whore. I don't like it. I don't. Just the whole idea of it. I'm not saying I'm a prude. I'm not. Just saying in the context of the film, or just the context in reality, when these things happen, it bothers me. For instance, I was watching the Four Seasons, the show, and then I watched the movie again, right? And it's kind of popular right now, the new show, Four Seasons. And that whole concept of that film where you have an older couple, I think in their late 40s, getting a divorce. The husband leaves the wife because he wants to start a new life. And he meets a new person, right? A younger woman. And the old wife is replaced with a young woman. And I know this happens. But it throws everything out of whack with relationships, with friendships, and how selfish that man is. That's what I think. And I could be wrong, right? But that's the way I am. Like, I think of that situation and it upsets me. It's like, I don't like it. Just throwing the old wife away because it's just getting stale. And, she doesn't excite me anymore. So I'm going to go for a younger woman. It's just things like that upset me. So I just wanted to point that out. That was upset by that. It's like, what? Why am I getting upset by it? Because I'm Jeff and I get upset by things and it's my show and I'm going to point out that this whole Candy Billy thing, and it's kind of creepy. But it's in the script and it has to be because it sets up the ending. Okay. Once in a while in a film, a moment comes along that grabs me, makes me love the movie even more, and they're usually what I call long shots. I love it how Milos Forman captures Jack/McMurphy in a long moment. Switching thought, just like Gus Van Sant did with River Phoenix. In River Phoenix in My Own Private Idaho. And River Phoenix will also do it, just a little one, in Running on Empty. But anyways, Paul Thomas Anderson did the same thing with Mark Wahlberg in Boogie Nights. Milos captures the same thing with Jack here. It's movie gold. And it's captured for us to see. It's rare. It happens just every now and then in great films. And moments like that only make it better. The party aftermath is classic. Beds get pushed together. The way Ratchet barks at DeVito. Get my cap. My cap. And DeVito go gets it. That was his best part in the movie. was getting Nurse Ratchet's hat. He gets it well. Oh my God, I'm such a dick with Dan. I'm sorry. I'm being a dick. I apologize. I love you. I do. I just don't like you in this movie. That's all. So Billy's missing. They find him in the room with Candy. Comes out of the room bare-assed. Patients cheer him. Ratchet asks him if he's ashamed of himself. He says no. She threatens to tell his mommy. She is pure evil. She knows how fragile he is. She breaks him down. She places her frustrations onto him. She is losing her control on everything, and she knows it. She still wants the control over Billy. Her relationship with his mother signifies that. Ratchet sends Billy to Dr. Spivey's office. He now has to face the music. This is too much for Billy. Ratchet glares at McMurphy with glee. She's taking control back. And this now is on you, McMurphy. Look what you did to Billy. It's all your fault. She gains it back, the control. Billy slices himself up, suicide. Devastating. McMurphy loses it. Attacks Ratchet. It looks so real. The way he strangles her, I mean, I think he fucking hated her. In real life, I just do. I think he did. Or he made himself want to hate her. I see it. I mean, we all do. We all hate her very much. And McMurphy looks like he's really fucking strangling her. McMurphy's ripped off, Ratchet's saved, and in the next scene, you see the neck brace on, and she seems nice in the next scene. You notice that? She looks so calm. Did she win the war? Right? She lost a lot of little battles along the way. But ultimately, at the end, she wins the war. She's at peace with herself. She's at peace with the ward. In the novel that Kesey wrote, she can't talk. So they changed that up. The novel, she was squeezed so hard by McMurphy that he damaged her vocal cords in the novel, and she can't talk. But in the movie, she can talk. One of my final notes is, I'm curious, did Chief straps himself into bed at night? Because he unstraps himself to get out of bed. So that means he straps himself in at night. Must be a rough sleeper. We see that McMurphy has been lobotomized. Awful. Chief hugs him. There's a nice moment there. Some great acting by the actor that plays Chief. And nice directing by Milo. I felt that Foreman, this is his best work, for sure. No doubt. I think he also did, I'm sorry, the Mozart movie, Amadeus, which was really good too. Those were pretty side to side, I'd say. But One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, man, woo! Well done, Milos Forman. Incredible. Jack. I mean, what can you say? He won the Oscar. Fletcher wins the Oscar, Best Actress. The writers won, director. It's one of those films you have to watch before you die. Thank you for listening to The Actors Room. My name's Jeff Torowski. It was a long episode. I had to do it. It's been a rough few months. I've been through it, folks. I've been through it. It's wonderful to be back. All I can say is the past year has been rough. Just job-wise, let's be honest. I'm going to lay it on the table. I took on a new job last year. It didn't work out for me. It just wasn't for me, and my health suffered. And I'm sort of dealing with that now. Just getting over the stress. It was mostly stress. Stress is a killer. No doubt about it, man. And it's amazing. You hold all that stress. And then when I got out of my situation, I'm in a much better situation now. Thank you, God. I'm very happy with where I am right now. And now that I'm able to sort of kind of relax, everything has just been unraveling. And I had to take care of it. So I'm healing. So I apologize if my voice sounds a little like you probably tell it in my voice. Like I'm kind of spent, but I'm getting better. I'm getting there, and I want to get back on track. I want to do more shows. I plan to do this one before I got sick. But I'm back. I continued. I wrapped it up. I did Cuckoo's Nest. I think it was okay. Not my best show. But it was a show. And I did it. That was fun. Kind of exhausting, but I feel good. And I hope you do too. Reach out. Visit the website. Leave a comment on iTunes. Every now and then I get a comment on iTunes. Do it. It takes 5 seconds. It helps the show. I think I'm on YouTube. And check out on YouTube. Leaving comments there. Give a like. I think I have a donate button on my show. I think it was broken at one point. I had somebody trying to donate, right? And he said it didn't work. So I think I looked into that, folks. I've been trying to get myself back together, putting the pieces back together. And if the donate button doesn't work, sorry. I'm not going to get a donation. I'll work it out. So, also give suggestions on future shows. I will take that into consideration. I will. So, I hope all is well. Hope you enjoyed the show. May God bless you. Have a good one.